I brainwashed myself into liking the gym. And that might sound insane, but hear me out, okay? Hi. So before we talk about procrastination, let me preface this by saying I am definitely not perfect and I still procrastinate sometimes, but it has improved tremendously over the past few years. So I just wanted to share what actually helped me, and maybe it can help you as well. These are just my own experiences, but to give you some examples of what I achieved is I actually went from never going to the gym to going to the gym twice a week. And I kept that up for the whole last year. That is one thing. And the other thing that I am notorious of procrastinating on is my hobbies. So I love sewing. I even sewed the dress that I'm wearing right now. I will link the video how I sewed it somewhere here. And last year I have sewn more than I have sewn ever before, even though I switched from working part-time to working full-time. Those are basically my credentials. But how did I do that? So I wanted to split that into two parts. First, I wanted to talk about how I stopped procrastinating on movement, so going to the gym in my case. And then I wanted to talk about stopping procrastination more in general. To stop procrastinating on working out, I used a couple of techniques, which I just later found out that they are techniques. What I did was I used habit stacking. So that means it is easier to introduce a new habit by stacking it in front or after a habit that you already have. For example, that could be going to the gym right after you wake up, or right after you finished work, or before you eat dinner, things like that. And for me, I go to the gym on Mondays and Fridays in my lunch break. That is the trigger for me to go to the gym. And there is no question in my mind about that. It's just, okay, it's Monday or Friday lunch break, it is time to go to the gym. There is no questioning it. So that is something that helped me. Another thing, and I think that is the most important one, I set the bar laughably low. So the only thing that I told myself last year in January was that I had to go to the gym on those 2 days, and I could just spend 10 minutes there and I could leave. The only important thing was that I had this very, very easy circuit of exercises that I always wanted to finish, but everything else was optional. The amount of weight I used was optional. I could make it super easy for myself. And that is the thing that really helped me actually going, because if you try to start too hard and you are too hard on yourself the whole time and you try to push yourself so hard, how are you ever gonna enjoy it? So I just put emphasis on never pushing myself too hard. It is good to push yourself if it's exciting for you, but if you don't feel excited about it, just don't push. It's not that important. It's more important to go consistently, but do light exercise than to push yourself super hard, but then only go once a month, for example. And the last thing, and this might be a little bit controversial, but it really helped me, so I'm gonna mention it. I brainwashed myself into liking the gym. And that might sound insane, but hear me out, okay? So I watched this vlog at some point that has been quite a long time ago. And this girl said, let's go to the happiest place on earth, my gym. And I thought, what an amazing framing. It was so refreshing for me, so positive, you know? So I decided to just use the same for myself. So I just told myself, I'm going to the happiest place on earth. I'm going to the gym. It's going to be so good. And basically, whenever I was on the way to the gym, I would just tell myself how excited I am to go and how happy I am to have that opportunity. And over time, it just kind of shaped my thoughts about it. It might sound crazy, but it really helps. Maybe try it out and tell me if I'm crazy or not. But I found it really helpful. Now, some other things. How I stopped procrastinating in general. First thing, I finished university. And this is no joke. But before I finished university, I procrastinated chronically. I could never do anything on time. I would just binge watch YouTube videos until it was very close to the deadline and I had to go really hard, and then the cycle would repeat. And what I found out later is that it is a lot more easy to procrastinate when you don't feel safe. And I apparently have a big problem with exam anxiety, which made me feel constantly stressed out to the point where I wanted to numb that stressed out emotion by procrastination. So you're not doomed if you are still at uni or at school and you also suffer from exam anxiety. Of course, if it's really bad, go seek professional help, but you're not doomed. There are still some other tips that I used already when I was at uni to improve that problem with procrastination. The first step was awareness. I got more aware of, oh, I'm feeling anxious right now because I have exam anxiety. In those situations, I stepped in and instead of starting to doom scroll, I put on a calming study with me video. And I still sometimes do that if I get anxious, but that really helped me to just get going and kind of also numb out those scared vibes. If you struggle with that too, that could be very helpful. And then the last part was regulating my nervous system. So there are two ways I regulated my nervous system. One was more on a baseline level, which was through regular exercise or regular movement. This just resets my mood and makes me feel a lot more regulated. If I work out twice a week, I feel so much more calm and I am less likely to get anxious when I work out regularly. So the regular movement is for setting the baseline of anxiety lower for me. And then there is another one, which is more of like the emergency care, which is deep breathing. Now, I know there are a lot of breathing exercises where you always count like how long you breathe in, how long you breathe out. But for me, it is really difficult to remember the right amount of seconds you're supposed to do everything, and it's kind of complicated. So what I do is box breathing, which is the easiest one that I've found until now, which is you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. So you only have to remember one number. You can also change that. If 4 seconds is not long enough for you or too long, you can just adjust it to 6 seconds, to 3 seconds, whatever. But that really helps me in the moment when I feel the anxiety coming up. I do a couple of breath cycles with that, and that instantly calms me down. And then I am much less likely to actually go into full procrastination mode. This is how I stop procrastinating. I hope that can be somewhat useful to you too, and I hope this helps.